gun.
Welcome everyone to our latest episode and our season finale of the Last Game podcast. I am Ace, and the person on top on the left is Ace, and we have a special guest today, our favorite friend Steven, a tormented Gators fan. We are excited to talk about, along with some other things within college football, how the NBA is progressing, NFL stories that have been coming up lately, and a whole bunch of other
issues
stuff
in the NHL and MLB. World Series might be done, I think, tonight, right?
Hopefully.
Game 6 tonight?
I wish it'll be done tonight.
Yeah, at Houston. We'll see. Houston can tie up.
Yeah.
And also, ladies and gentlemen, we also have another special guest. Uga's biggest fan is Snoopy. How you doing, Snoopy?
Yeah, his red color got messed up, so now he's on blue, but he's still the Uga supporter. That ancient.
I promise he's not with you, right? Rebels
That's
Nation,
probably a good team to support this year.
All right. Hey, anything you want to say? Be a friend, tell a friend, any of that stuff?
Yeah, we got our usual be a friend, tell a friend, to like, share, subscribe. You know where to find us. It's been, 14 weeks already? Can't believe it's already been so long. We've been with you guys. America. Yep, there it is. Like, share, subscribe, follow. Be a friend, tell a friend, retweet it. Help spread the love. Help us grow the channel. You know how it is, guys. And I think JP should be back Friday for his breakdown for FAMU's game. And yeah, leave comments. We got to get the interactions going. We have a guest on, first guest of the show. Oh, it's Saturday. Thank you. I get this all mixed up. He had it Thursday last week. Anyway,
it's always Saturday.
Well, yeah. Okay. Hey, we got a comment already.
Bro. We appreciate it. All love,
Thanks.
Man. All love.
Thanks for the love.
All right, peeps. Whenever you're ready, hit it.
All right, let's do this kickoff. You want to do college football first? And we got a college football fan here in the house today.
Yes, we got to do college football first, especially with the latest news that's come out. We might as well talk about college football first. But first of all, let's talk about our good friends. Steven,
are you going to do Florida?
I'm doing all right. You know, I'm weathering the season. It's been disappointing, to say the least.
All right, so we do have some questions to ask you from the start about UF, because you are a guest, we have to start off with about you. So tell us who you are, what you do, what university you go to, and why, and who's your favorite teams. Let's start off with that.
Yeah. So my name is Steven. I'm the cousin-in-law of our esteemed host here, and I went to the University of Florida. So actually a double Gator, got a bachelor's and master's from Florida. So the Gators are my favorite college team. And then I was raised in Jacksonville, so I'm a big Jaguars fan too.
Tough year.
It's been a rough year. Yeah, but I've adopted several of the Tampa teams too. So the Bucks and Lightning and Rays.
The Rays.
Never the Saints. Never the Saints.
Go Bolts.
Yeah, I got stuff to say about Devin White.
You're a Bolts fan, right? Yes, you are.
All right, let's get into this. So let's hit up to the hard question. I told you I predicted a 30-point blowout with Anthony Richardson starting. Sadly, it was only 27, but you know how it goes. So you were telling me this after the upset. Why do you think Dan Mullen needs to go? And if you still believe that?
I think it's inevitable at this point. I don't think that I would fire him if I was the decision maker, just because I think Florida's behind the 8 ball. You know, LSU and Southern Cal are already out there looking for head coaches. Both of those programs are really attractive, and I don't know that Florida wants to compete with them heads up for a coach. But if I keep him, it's conditional upon him basically doing a rehaul of the entire staff. I mean, I think you got to get at least all new defensive staff in there. And I think anywhere where you've got any position coaches where you have weak recruiters, you got to get strong recruiters, because the recruiting game right now is bad. It's not where Florida should be. And that was, I think, the biggest difference in this game against Georgia. You know, we could talk about coaching decisions and all that, but at the end of the day, the Gators are just not keeping pace with the big programs in the SEC. If you look at Dan Mullen's record against the programs that consistently recruit better than him, Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M, LSU, that record ain't pretty. And it's not going to get better if the recruiting doesn't get better. So I think you got to do a complete overhaul of the staff and get in some recruiters in there. So I keep them, but it's conditional.
Would you do something like what LSU did with Ed Orgeron, where they agree to part ways after the season? Or I know you're saying not fire him, so would they announce it from now? Or would they just wait until the end of the season at this point?
No, I wouldn't fire him at the end. I wouldn't fire him this season, unless they just couldn't come to some sort of agreement. Like if Dan Mullen said, "I'm not getting rid of Todd Grantham," then I'd say, "See you later." But no, I give him next year. You know, give him this offseason to get it corrected, get the right coaches in there. Unfortunately, I think the recruiting class for 2022 is what it is. It's hard to believe that they're going to make significant improvements there with the month or whatever we have left before early signing day. But, you know, the results on the field this year speak for themselves. But, you know, he has shown some promise. I just think there's certain areas where the program is really lacking. And if he can make those changes and commit to those changes, then I'm okay with retaining him through next year and just kind of doing next year as a, you know, week by week kind of basis. But I mean, I think there's three things you got to do if you keep Dan Mullen. You got to, number one, he's got to go out there and he's got to get a better defensive staff at a minimum. He's got to go out there. Number two, he's got to go out there and he's got to get recruiters. And number three, somebody please from the UF journalism school, get him a public relations intern. The man says things that just makes the problems worse. Like his teleconference yesterday where they asked him about recruiting. Please, somebody get him a public relations intern. I think we can spare one at UF.
I mean, without a doubt, I mean, with that kind of school UF is, I think they could spare one. Especially the kind of program they pride themselves to be. I would definitely think they could do that without issue. I mainly agree with you about Dan Mullen and like firing and parting ways with the defensive coordinator and rehauling the defense. Talent-wise, yeah, I mean, they could always do some work. But, I mean, when you see guys like Zach Carter and stuff, what do you think? Because Zach Carter is still having a heck of a season.
Yeah, no doubt. There's individual talent on the team for sure.
In fact, Zach Carter went to Ace High School.
Yeah, and I
guess
don't
says much.
I don't think that the cupboard is
good.
I don't think the cupboard's bare or anything like that. But when I look at, you know, some of the skill, when I look at the lines, you know, really the offensive line, you know, Hevesy has this reputation as being a really good offensive line coach, but his recruiting is subpar, right? That's kind of the knock on him. And you get these guys that are projects. Now, I think he's gotten some really good guys who have really showed out. And you know, if not for injuries, I think that was one of the bright spots on the on the team this year. You know, Garage and Ethan White especially come to mind as two guys that have made a lot of strides. Braun's filled in nicely too. But, you know, the whole situation with there's no shutdown corner right now. I mean, Kyer Elam was supposed to be that shutdown corner, and the results just haven't really been there. You know, I think a lot of that, I don't think that's the player. I think that's the coaching. But I'm more concerned about the future pipeline with the recruiting. I think we got some guys that can ball right now. I'm not really trying to knock them. It's just more when you look at the recruiting rankings, how did we fall out of the top 20? How are we recruiting at a lower level than FSU? I mean, FSU is had a bigger rebuild. Norvell had a bigger rebuild than
They
Mullen did.
They were struggling for a while too. FSU worse than UF. So
Yeah, and to their credit,
what happened.
they've mostly kind of held on to their recruiting class. How we fall out of the top 20 and we lose, our two highest rated recruits within the span of a couple of weeks or whatever it was. It's just inexcusable at this stage. And it's Florida. I mean, I'm not saying that it's easy to recruit, but if it's easy to recruit anywhere, it's got to be Florida with the talent-rich state that it is.
Well, I mean, with the talent, the recruiting, it's like most of the talent keeps going out of state at this point. You've noticed they're mainly going like Alabama, LSU, and all those SEC teams.
I would like to interject something. First of all, just to give a local shout out, Richard Gora actually went to Cambridge Christian. I just want to point that out. Give that round of applause because that man is also balling as well on UF. And second of all, I do. From my understanding is that most kids like down in South Florida want to go to UF. That's the thing. Like they don't even think about Miami like that. Like there's a whole bunch of kids from down in South Florida that are like, ooh, I want to be a Gator this, and like they all live the pride. So this is where I'm kind of scratching my head a little bit. Why some of the ballers from South Florida don't end up going to like Florida and they end up going to Georgia or Alabama or something. That's something that I think you ask about because there's kids down there that truly in their hearts want to go to UF, other than University of Miami. So that's something I want to kind of raise a circle on there.
I mean, I think it's a simple answer. I think if you can go play for Nick Saban and win national championships, why not? Look at the guys he puts in the NFL. Look at LSU. I mean, even when LSU's bad, their secondary still has the reputation of DBU. I really hate to say that.
And wide receiver U.
Yeah,
because there used to be
at this point, it's wide receiver U coming out.
Yeah,
they got three guys at this point. They looking like they're going to be better than all the. Well, I don't want to say all the Alabama wide receivers, but they're coming close to some of the recent Alabama wide receivers. I'm not talking from like Julio's days. I'm talking like last 5 years. So
I think it's safe to say those LSU receivers are starting to look better than a lot of those Alabama receivers.
Justin Jefferson looking better than. Well, we all know what happened to Henry Ruggs, and we know Judy just came back from his ankle injury. So I mean, out of those two, Jefferson is the best wide receiver looking right now.
Smith is also struggling a bit.
Oh, Jamar Chase is blowing Devontae Smith out of the water right now.
Exactly. Jamar Chase is blowing out the last year Heisman.
Well, LSU would always get great wide receivers. Their problem was they just never had great quarterbacks.
That is true.
Until they got
this other guy.
Maybe you have next year he's going to be out. Have better scouters, I think.
They got that
Scott Morton in Tampa Bay as well. I mean, they should have hit Tampa Bay a little bit harder too, because and also UF should also started looking into the transfer portal because not everyone plays for Alabama. Look at Cincinnati with Jerome Ford and how Jerome Ford has been scoring left and right, up and down for Cincinnati. The dude is like creeping in the Heisman talk. The only reason why he's not top there is because he's just behind Desmond Ridder and a whole bunch of other, and he also plays running back.
Well, since you mentioned Cincinnati, you guys want to pivot to that question at the bottom. We need to talk about this. We need to talk about this. Let's pivot over to that.
Let's pop these through questions first. What do you think of the Emory Jones Anthony Richardson battle? Do you think Anthony Richardson's the guy of the future?
Yeah, I think Anthony Richardson has more upside. I mean, I think Emory's a great guy and has really been loyal to the program, but I think Anthony Richardson has more upside. Play him.
I agree with that.
All right,
yeah, let's actually talk.
Let's get into this. All right, so we got Georgia at 1, Alabama at 2. You had who was 3 now? I'm already drawing a blank. I know number 4 was Oregon.
I think Michigan State was 3.
Yeah, Michigan State was number 3. How do you keep off Cincinnati?
That is disgusting by the college football committee.
That is. They had Alabama 2. They lost an unranked. You should not be 2 if you lost unranked.
They should have kept them at 5 or 6 because of that.
I mean, if they won the SEC, sure, but they haven't won the SEC yet, and they could be having a 2-loss season at this rate. The way Georgia's playing, they could potentially have a 2-loss season, and the college football playoffs will really put them in it.
Michigan State also had my eyebrows raised a little bit too. Like
I told you that game was going to happen the way it did.
Yeah, I know that, but I do not think Michigan State should be in over for Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. Yeah,
I just do not think so.
Cincinnati should have been in it, but Michigan State should have probably been 4 or 5.
Ohio State probably. Well, actually, you know what? Ohio State could take care of Michigan State. But
Ohio State will
I
beat
still
them later on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, they're also going to beat Michigan too.
I mean, they put these rankings out just to get the fans to talk about something. At the end of the day, like the season's going to take care of itself. You know what I mean? Alabama being there at number 2, I see the argument for keeping them out because they did lose and Cincinnati's still undefeated. But they're getting the respect because they're Alabama. But if they don't handle their business, they're not going to be in the college football playoff. So that'll take care of itself. And same with Michigan State. I mean, if Michigan State, they still have to play they still have to play Ohio State. They still have to play Penn State. If they don't handle their business, they won't be there either.
That is true.
Give me your take about Georgia. How are you feeling about Georgia and your best buddy Uga? How do you feel? He feels great.
He's. Oh God.
You feel great. You feel great. All right. Oh. All right. So I also want to point out I already said is Cincinnati should be there, but then also this Ohio State should be in there, but that one's going to take care of itself. Alabama. I mean, we already got to wonder if Alabama's going to beat Auburn and with the way how they've been looking also. So that out.
All right. Quick question before we move on. Where do you think Spencer Rattler is going to end up? We've had a couple conversations about this between last give and running gun. What do you think is a good fit for Rattler?
I'm going to say Arizona State because he's from the Phoenix area. I like what Herm Edwards is doing with the Sun Devils. I say go home and be the hometown hero.
I would actually have to.
Well, that you go. Who knows what the hell's coming out of Rattler?
I feel like that's going to drive down Arizona State down to in a competing Pac-12.
This might literally be the worst draft eligible quarterback class I've seen in like the last 5 years. 20 was bad, but this one might beat it.
Yeah, I agree too. I think Matt Corral and a few other guys. I mean, there's some guy from the small school that we never even heard about.
Yeah, the Willis guy from Liberty. I think he's gonna be good, but that's about it.
All right, I understand it's a new quarter.
Let's get into the NFL.
We could talk more college football later. We could extend.
Yeah. All right. So which start with first? Henry being done for the year or Jameis being done for the year?
Let's talk about Derrick Henry. Everyone's been talking about Derrick Henry like crazy, so let's talk about him.
Well, actually, they didn't say he was done for the year. Henry 6 to 10 weeks. At that point, it's like week 7. He'll be back for the playoffs. For the regular season, he'll be done most likely.
Yeah.
A lot. I don't think Adrian Peterson has a 2012 season in him.
Yeah, I think it's a huge loss.
That is a huge loss. That's essentially Tennessee's offense right there.
That is their identity. You know how they always say like a team has to have an identity to be safe. Derrick Henry is the identity of the Tennessee offense. Yeah, that's what makes when you notice Ryan Tannehill, he wasn't much of a gunslinger back in Miami days, but when he was with the play action with Arthur Smith with Derrick Henry, and that's when he really got his career going back again. So you have to think it's also going to affect him too, and not just like the entire offense, but it will affect him the most.
Yeah, Ryan Tannehill is going to be under a lot more pressure.
I see a huge regression.
Yes.
Back to the Dolphin days for Tannehill.
I could agree with that too. All right, next question. So the Saints beat
yes,
Tom
Deshaun
Brady
Jackson should get picked up, but he's New Orleans. Go to Green Bay. Don't go to New Orleans because you're not gonna have a single soul throw you the deep ball.
Jackson should be a bandwagoner and join the Bucks.
He ain't going back to the Bucks.
He'll never go back to the Bucks. But I do want to say that that Jameis Winston injury. When Jameis got injured,
dirty beyond.
There was a horse collar that caused Jameis to lose his footing and ultimately have him had a bad landing on his knee.
It wasn't a bad landing. His leg twisted the wrong way because of the horse collar.
Well, yeah, it twisted.
He didn't land on the knee. He twisted it. That knee was not supposed to go outward, bending that way.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like NFL. Me personally, I think they should like give him like a 1-game suspension or something for it because. But I mean,
horse collars are dangerous because
it's football. So I mean, I get that too.
But I mean, this is Devin White. He's been doing it. He did this in the playoffs too. Deontay Harris started to cook them in the return game and on offense, whacked him in the neck and knocked him out of the game too. So it's not like he's done this before.
Steven, you seem kind of like confused on what we're saying. You want
Oh, Steven was talking trash all
I-
before the game too.
I wanted to get your thoughts on it. I mean, you know, I was it a horse collar? Yes. Was it the most egregious horse collar I've ever seen? No.
No.
No, it's not the most egregious. But from the
Is
angle
Devin
and
White a very
circumstance.
physical player? Does he kind of have that reputation? Yes. I don't think he meant to hurt Jameis Winston. You know, it's just one of those things that happens, and unfortunately, it was a really bad injury. I don't think he's going to get suspended or fined, but that's
No, he won't get suspended.
Yeah, he's.
I mean, Taysom Hill got knocked all the way to next year, and with that hit that what's his name, William Jackson gave him against Washington, they didn't even give him a suspension for a head-to-head hit. They're not going to do it for Jameis, his injury, which was much less like dirty in that terms. But yeah, they're screwed at quarterback unless they start Ian Book.
No, Alvin Kamara and just run the.
Oh, Sean Payton won't play Alvin Kamara at quarterback. He said he was the emergency, but yeah, I don't see them putting Kamara at quarterback. If they play Ian Book, I feel their upside would be higher than if they play Taysom. Because if you notice, Taysom, he played 2 games against Atlanta, one of them against Denver without a quarterback, and the one against Philly, which pathetic because NFL team finally had film on him. And Taysom Hill can't throw a deep ball. His ball is a punt. If you watch the tape back from last year, Emmanuel Sanders had to catch one of the deep balls like if it was a punt. He had to run back to the ball and get it. Like I say, right. give the rookie a shot. That's what I gotta say.
Why not?
Give Ian Book a shot because you're not gonna sign Cam Newton. You're not gonna get anybody else. And Trevor Siemian had 3 plays he should have got picked off. One of them he did, and the Bucs just had a mental lapse. And
honestly, to be honest, the Saints should have lost that game. But there was no tape on Trevor Siemian, so the Buccaneers had nothing on him, so they couldn't even blame
the defense has on Brady for the entire 4 games.
I expected the Buccaneers DBs to play a bit better though than what I saw.
Can we just talk about what that play calling was with the Bucs' final drive? Why are they? I mean, they still had plenty of time. You know, all they needed was
they threw it to my boy PJ Williams.
It's that gunslinger mentality. Could have won that game. Just needed to be methodical.
I mean, Marcus Williams should have picked it off the play before too. So
I personally and
I guess Aikman saw something because he circled Williams the play right before it happened. If you watch back every highlight, it will always circle PJ Williams because that's when Aikman circled him. I don't know if he saw that they were gonna do it. It's like
I think they telegraphed that they were going to be really aggressive. The Bucs were like, "Hey, we're just going to throw it out there, so be ready." You know, the Saints secondary was backing up; they knew what was happening.
Well, I mean, there was a joke made that Marcus Williams didn't pick off the play because he was like, no Minnesota Miracle this time.
Right.
So I don't know.
All right. Let's kind of cut out the Saints talk. We're kind of running into that.
Yeah.
No, let's talk about the Rams.
You want to do Rams?
Rams defense.
I don't care.
Why you say you don't care? Their defense got better. I mean, are they better in the
Cardinals? Von Miller's still got his ankle injury, and he wasn't lighting it up when he was healthy this year.
I know, but Von Miller is still coming back, and also Von Miller, his presence alone in that locker room with the likes of Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, that's going to affect them a little bit more too.
The only thing I care about is congrats to the Rams for making the trade deadline something interesting because that was the only move that actually had any relevance. I mean, let's be real. The NFL trade deadline is an overhyped day. The NBA and NHL blow it out of the water every year. They at least have actual trades going down. NFL got nothing. Last year, the only trade on the deadline was Isaiah Ford to the Patriots.
All right, guys.
And he got cut and went right back to Miami.
Ace, we gotta keep it moving, right?
You're telling me to move. All right, let's move on then, because you never move on.
Let's talk about the Seabirds, how they bounced back against Urban Meyer and the Jaguars. Such a scary team, right, Snoopy? Indeed.
We'll get to that question next. At the bottom.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about who's the best team in the AFC North right now.
The Jaguars can make anybody look good. So
Except
I mean,
except Tua Tagovailoa.
I mean, even Tua didn't look that bad. But you know what? If you're having issues and you can't win a game and your starting quarterback is out and you have Geno Smith as your backup, all you need is the Jaguars on the schedule, and it's a W.
Well, I mean, the thing was they beat them convincingly too. It wasn't like it was a close game like how other Jaguars game has been. Especially with Geno Smith as your quarterback.
Jaguars are regressing, but
that's very true.
Mum's the word.
Okay, well then, what do you got for Urban Meyer?
Man, I never wanted Urban in Jacksonville.
I had to ask this one.
Fans, ladies and gentlemen, this is from a Gators fan.
You know, I wish I could meet Shad Khan because I would say to him, "What are you doing? Last year was the darkest year in franchise history, right? I mean, as bad as it is to be a Jaguars fan, last year was rock bottom. Imagine that. And you have the number 1 overall pick. Trevor Lawrence is basically getting gifted to you. And we decide at that pivotal moment that we're going to turn to a never coached in the NFL, head coach in college football that has quit within a handful of years of any stop he's ever been at, who makes up health issues. Maybe not makes up is too strong, but who is so gets his mind so worked up, right, that he basically gives himself a panic attack every game. All right, it makes me nervous watching Jaguar games. The man is hunched over. I want somebody standing by Urban Meyer to make sure he's going to be all right. We need a wellness check after every down. I really believe that.
Let me ask you this question: what would you like? How would you react if instead of Urban Meyer was the head coach of the Jags? What if it was Dan Campbell? Like, how would you think the Jaguars would be doing? Because I don't think Dan Campbell's doing a bad job in Detroit.
Jaguars have is that they have Charlie Strong on the staff. That's what.
We were supposed to talk about that in college football with that USF probation and penalty thing they had going on. But we'll talk about that at the end.
Yeah,
we'll get back to that.
I mean,
Charlie Strong's bum himself.
I think what you said, Ace, is a fair point. I mean, look, I don't think Dan Campbell was going to go in there and knock the lights out with this Jaguars roster, but and he still hasn't won a game with the Lions, right? But he's done it quietly, and he's done it without causing issues. And this isn't totally Urban Meyer's fault because I think the media just is attracted to Urban. You know, they know something crazy is going to happen, so they follow him around, and that's one of the reasons that I didn't really want him. Not that that's his fault, but everybody is waiting for him to quit this job. Everybody's waiting for him to. Every single college job that comes up, they're going to say, "Ooh, Urban Meyer's a candidate." It's too much of a distraction. And at least, there's no reports of Dan Campbell losing the locker room. So if the trade-off is that I get one win against, Miami and London, yippee.
I mean, well, at least Dan Campbell, when he loses a game, he's crying and he's emotional about it. When Urban Meyer lost the game, instead of flying back with the team,
shots at the bar, baby.
And he had a pair of buns, but I'm sorry, I'm a juvenile. I can't help that sometimes.
All right, guys. All right.
Damn right. Run through a wall for Dan Campbell. Damn right, I would do that. I would do that too.
I would run into a wall if I had to listen to Urban Meyer's speeches in the locker room. So, just to compare the two.
All
right, guys. Let's keep it moving. All right. Let's talk about the Jets upsetting the Bengals while the Steelers beat the Browns. Looks like the AFC North is back in the mix again. So,
that's gonna be a dogfight to the end.
Who you got winning the AFC North?
I still believe in the Bengals.
Bengals. Interesting. How about you guys?
I'm with Steven. I think the Bengals will probably end up winning that division because, the Ravens, they just got, I don't want to say they got so many injuries and that's going to be their issue. It's just every 1 week they'll show up and they'll look like world beaters, and the next week they'll have a letdown game like what you saw against the Bengals last week. I mean, if they incorporate Rashad Bateman into the offense a little more, so Lamar will get that extra receiver, so he doesn't have to rely on the deep shot to Marquise Brown to get them offense. I mean, I'm for it. But they don't have a Marcus Peters back there. Anthony Averett, like, he's trying to hold down the fort so Marlon Humphrey doesn't get burned for 150 yards by Jamar Chase every week.
I mean, honestly, low key, I still think the Ravens are still the favorites in that division, and I think the Steelers, like, I'm not too sure about the Steelers yet. I mean, they have been unconvincing to me, but I feel like between Steelers and Browns, they're gonna get to the third spot with the Bengals at second.
I mean, that's not
Browns
entirely a hot take, but I don't think the
know.
Ravens will miss the play. It'll be the Browns because the Browns are such a deep hole right now. It feels like almost compared to the rest of the division.
Browns' Achilles heel right now is their DBs. Their DBs are easy.
No, it's not their DBs. It's their offense.
Though the offense too, but their DBs aren't that good. They're not like lockdown.
They're not healthy.
Defensive backs.
They're not bad. They're just not healthy. Yeah, that's what we were talking about there, America. We saw before you.
I don't know. AFC North is going to deliver 3 teams in that playoffs. But
I think so. And it'll probably be Chiefs in the wild card, but that AFC West, it's going to be tough to see who comes out because the Raiders are just keep winning and their entire franchise is burning. It feels like.
Yeah,
I mean, if you guys want to talk about the Henry Ruggs,
Broncos are going to miss the playoffs. I think the only team that makes it out of that one is probably Los Angeles.
The Chiefs have an easy enough schedule. Well, they have the hardest schedule, I think, but they should be able to win a couple. If Mahomes doesn't turn into 2019 all the way, which is our running gag on the show.
Talking annoying smack about the Chiefs, saying, "Oh yeah, they're still in it." And I'm like, dude, they beat the Giants. The Giants are not that bad this year.
You beat the Giants.
You beat
all right,
the Giants.
Steven, go ahead. Kind of cut you off.
I was just going to say the Raiders, I feel bad for them. They moved to Vegas, and everything that happens in Vegas gets out of Vegas because they've been the talk of the NFL this season.
That's a good one.
That is very true. Also, let's talk about Henry Ruggs for a bit, all right? A young man, what was this?
Totally
second or third year and
second.
in the NFL, decides not to take an Uber while drunk and decides to drive home drunk. Get in a car accident and crash. Give me your thoughts about that.
And kill somebody.
Yeah, that's what I said. Kill someone.
No, you didn't say that part, but yeah.
I mean, it's a tragedy all the way around. I mean, it's a tragedy for the victim.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy for Henry Ruggs and his young career. You know, I mean, just don't take that chance. It's just not worth it. If you drink,
Uber and AAA.
Have a friend, just don't take that chance. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people that I know that have had incidents happen to them. You know, it's just not that rare. Just don't take that chance. And I mean, it's a terrible story all the way around.
Mm-hmm. Praise up to the victim's family and all.
I want to say, like, I think that Ruggs situation is going to. If Henry Ruggs does not get out of this at all very well, it's going to be like the Cameron Herron of the NFL.
Yeah, as long as the sentence as Herron. You'll probably get... If his blood alcohol level's under 1.0 and it's like somewhere in between the 0.8 and the 1, he should probably get only 2 years. That's if. Because I don't think he had a prior record anyway.
You don't
so he
know.
might get out. I don't know how it's going to work.
Anything. Cameron Herron didn't have a record, and he still got time.
But he also killed 2 people in street racing.
Yeah, but at the same time, this is someone that also made a questionable decision and also resulted in a death.
I mean, regardless of what happens in court, you know, that's something that, you know, he's going to have to carry with him the rest of his life. So, that's a heavy thing.
All right, so I understand this is a new quarter, but I do want to get down to the Arizona Cardinals. I think the AJ Green thing with the Arizona Cardinals, that's good. I think that was just straight up miscommunications and all that. I still think the Cardinals are still the team to beat in the NFL. What's y'all think?
You mean the NFC or the NFL? NFC or NFL or both?
Both.
Oh, yes.
I still think they are that team. Even without JJ Watt.
I'll let you go first, Steven.
I'm struggling to think. Like, I want to disagree with you. That's my first inclination because it's the Cardinals. and to think of the Cardinals being the team to beat is just such a...
I'm a Seahawks fan, so... I get it.
is such a foreign concept. But I mean, honestly, they're I don't know. Yeah, I think they're poised well. I think the Rams though are too good. Um,
Hmm.
I
We have a comment here. Phil pop up. Yeah.
ooh,
Oh, with all due respect, no. I hard disagree with that one. I mean, the only teams I
I
could
don't
possibly
think they're
think
better
of,
than the Cowboys. I really don't
the
think they're better
Cardinals.
than the Cowboys.
Cardinals
They're not
offense.
better than the Cowboys, and people are putting the Cowboys like Stephen A said they're the best team in the NFL. I'm like, nonsense.
I like
Green
the
Bay will
Cardinals
beat
over
them.
the Cowboys.
Bay's gonna beat
Cardinals?
Dallas anyway. Cardinals will beat them. If DeAndre didn't get hurt, that play instead of going to AJ Green would have gone to DeAndre. Because DeAndre wasn't even supposed to be out in the second half of the game, and he ran out anyway. And then they had a essentially
I think
hand
the Green thing was just a misread. But the Cardinals do need to play better, though. I must call them out for that. Talent
Their
they have,
defense
they
let me down.
better. Yeah, and like the offense kind of play around too. That's what I've been noticing.
But how much does that have to go with JJ Watt being out for the year? What do you think? How much does that defense letdown have to do with JJ Watt? Because he was helping take some pressure off of Chandler Jones, and you didn't hear a peep from Chandler Jones in that game. So what do you guys think of that? Or before we move on, I actually had one more thing to say for the NFL before we move on. This one's more of this one's a shout out for Calvin Ridley for taking care of his mentals, like Marshawn said, how many years ago, and step away from football to get himself right.
I do think it does take off some pressure off of Chandler Jones, but if DeRondre Rams, Packers, Bucks, Cowboys, and Cardinals. No, Cardinals are still better than the Rams, as far as I'm concerned. The Rams haven't really proven me anything, especially with that blowout loss they had earlier. Buccaneers, I mean, maybe in the playoffs, but not right now. Packers, I mean, it's neck and neck for that one. Packers have played a whole lot better since.
Y'all want to move on?
Yeah, let's move on. Unless Steven wants to say anything on that.
I was just gonna say, I like Kevin's comment there. I mean, the teams that he put ahead of the Cardinals are all, I think, when it comes down to it in the playoffs, I think they're more battle tested. I don't know. Arizona, they're going to will.
They're more battle tested, I agree.
Arizona will be all right if Cowher stays healthy because he'll just work some magic because he won 91 yards.
I don't know.
In less than 2 minutes.
There might be some film against him at that point, though. Games play different in the playoffs.
It's week 8. There would have been film on anybody at this point, Flash.
That is true, but still.
So it's not film on him.
Teams play different in the playoffs, and we've seen that with the Buccaneers last year.
All right, let's get into this NHL. Giving us free Chick-fil-A today.
Thing. Yes. Thank you, Bolts. I do want to say one more thing. I still believe the Cardinals over the Rams. The Rams, I don't trust the Rams.
I want to see Matt Stafford win a playoff game before I give him anything. But that was in Detroit, so maybe that has something to do with it. All right, so the Lightning gave us free Chick-fil-A by winning against the Caps last night, 4-3. And they broke the Capitals' attempt for the franchise history for the longest win streak season. They did it to the Penguins last week, and they did it to the Capitals today. What did you guys take away from that game? I know Flash didn't watch it.
I did not.
This is regular season. There's much nothing to say about hockey. It's just a bunch of shout-outs, except for the one issue we're going to get into a little bit.
Hey, listen here, man, all right? I saw part of the beginning. They looked kind of confused in the beginning, and they got together, and we got free Chick-fil-A out of it. So that means free. Is that correct? Free food? Yes, free food.
Hey, let me just pop up. All right. Shout out to the Hurricanes. They went undefeated the entire opening month. They're 8-0-0. The Panthers are 8-0-1, but Panthers got their own issues right now. I mean, you guys want to talk about this one?
Let's make it quick.
This one isn't a quick story though, Flash. I hate to tell you, this one's pretty big. Yeah, they're talking that the Capitals not the Capitals, the Blackhawks they have to remove the 2010 team off the Stanley Cup. That's what some people are calling for.
Oh my Lord.
I mean, what happened in Chicago in 2010 should have never happened.
Yeah. What had to happen to go down? That's what I need to know. I need more information before we can make that kind of call.
more information, you need to actually just look it up. Type in Chicago Blackhawks 2010 sexual assault. That's all you need to know. Type it into Google.
Oh, okay.
That story came out in July.
Wow.
More information. I'm not even gonna bother with him. Steve, what you got for that? If you heard about that,
You know what?
story.
I'm completely ignorant on this story. I haven't followed it. So, but
all right. So the video coach sexually assaulted and like molested one of the players when he was like pretty young in the league, when he was like 18 or something like that. And it was during the entire Cup run when they were playing, I think, in the Eastern or the Stanley Cup final. And they told the players reported it to the head coach, Joel Quenneville, and he told management, and they didn't do anything until during the summer, and they quietly released him even after he got his own day with the Cup. The video coach who did all this, after the day with the Cup and all that crap, and then he got another job where they had more sexual assault cases. It was in a college up in Michigan, and then it was in Miami, Ohio. They had that incident, and then he was done. So this guy, the John Doe from the case, Cal Beach came out and he was talking about it, and they fined the Blackhawks like a couple $1 million, and the head coach of the Panthers, who was the head coach of the Blackhawks, he had to resign after the meeting with the commissioner Gary Bettman, and the general manager and head coach, and I'm sure the head coach of the Blackhawks, but I know the general manager of the Blackhawks right now, he had to resign too from the Chicago Blackhawks team USA because of the whole incident. So, I mean, the fact that this didn't come out until this summer, and this happened in 2010, and nothing happened.
That's 10 years ago. That's very concerning.
Yeah, and he had this because they even gave him a job recommendation when he went to the guy who did this. They gave him a job recommendation at another place, knowing what he was doing.
Wow.
The Blackhawks essentially kind of promoted more. How should I say this? More incidences nicely.
Yeah.
Well, they never made that.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is only to show you that by sweeping under the rug, you're only promoting the issue worse rather than resolving it. I just want to say that right now for all our viewers, and I think Skippy agrees too. Don't sweep it under the rug. You might eat it, all the food.
And the Blackhawks had to cancel their Marian Hossa, one of their fan favorites and one of their best players back in the Cup runs. They owned his legacy night that they're going to give him after retirement, and they for reflection and not celebrate. I mean, that's kind of a PR move, but that's kind of the opposite of what they did with the Sean Taylor jersey retirement. You know how they just brought it on spur of the moment to try like keep it away from after the John Gruden, and they didn't want people talking about the emails and all that crap. They did the Sean Taylor retirement out of the blue. At least did the opposite, and they kind of said, "All right, let's try to think about what we did and not have a celebration when you're kind of in trouble right now." That's all I got to say for the NHL right now. What do you guys think about that thing? Or let's get into that.
I did not know about that story, but
I don't know enough to say anything about it. But I do think that if it's just one person within the whole organization, I do not think the whole team should be removed off of it. If anything, it should be that particular person name.
Well, yeah, that person. I mean, team itself, but like I think the Blackhawks filed a thing to get him out off of it. I'm not entirely sure though.
Yes, he should be immediately off of it. Graceful to the organization and to the league. Do it immediately.
All right, let's get into some World Series. I don't know if that game started yet, but
it's bottom.
For the sake of the sanity of Atlanta fans, I hope they don't.
I hope they put him away. I hope they put him away just for their sake. That's all I gotta say.
Just for the sake of their sanity.
Atlanta's got to win, or they're going to be known as Choke City.
No longer Magic City.
Well, and then guess what? If Georgia loses anytime soon, they're gonna look bad too.
Oh, now that's a choke I can live with. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I do not need that, Angie. I do not need that.
The camera froze on that too.
I'll take it easy on the Braves. I don't have any hate for the Braves, but the Bulldogs choking in the college football playoffs would be amazing.
That would look bad too.
I mean, nobody on Penalty Talk has any issues with the Braves. We all have issues with the Astros. So we all took the
everyone
Braves.
does.
Yeah.
We all picked the Braves just for that reason. All right, let's wrap up this quarter real quickly. Ball team remove the Indians from the name, rebranding to the Guardians. That's a good look for them, I think. But actually, while we're actually talking about like the names Indians and all that, I do wonder about the outrage though about it, about doing a tomahawk shop. Like, just some people in the Native American communities that get super upset about hearing about it. But then, like, back in my mind, I'm like,
But didn't the Seminoles approve of it?
Yeah. The Seminole tribe approve of it. So that's of FSU doing the tomahawk shop and having Osceola as the mascot and everything. So and like all these other teams adopted that from FSU because the war chant, the tomahawk, is more of an intimidation factor rather than a cheer for the team. At least from my understanding with FSU. So I do not understand what the offense is about.
It came over with Dion, right?
Yeah,
Dion
that is
played
right.
for the
It did
Braves.
come over with Dion.
Yeah.
I was that part, but yeah.
I mean, if the tomahawk chop was approved by the Seminole tribe, why are other Native Americans being offended?
I think it's only the council and I don't, forgive me, I don't know how they're organized, but I think I've read that in Florida, the council in Florida has given the blessing to FSU, but there is also a Seminole Council in Oklahoma, and I've read that they are opposed to the FSU name and the chant.
So this is more about
they're all right. Yeah.
So this is more
That's one of those
political thing rather than who's offended, who's not offended thing, kind of.
I mean, I wouldn't call
I'm not too sure.
Political. I mean, I think there are people that are upset about it. I think there's just differing opinions even within that community, right? I mean, if the Florida branch or council of Seminoles feels one way, but Oklahoma feels a different way, clearly there's a lot of division. This is still a topic that's up for debate. I think one thing with the Cleveland situation, that was clearly a caricature. A lot of people looked at Chief Wahoo as offensive because it was a cartoon, right? Not defending it one way or the other, but I'd say, Florida State has at least, tried to be respectful.
Especially with talking to the organizations and all that.
Right.
And as I said, a tomahawk chop, it's not really a chant to cheer for the team. It's a war chant to like scare opposing players. Because literally when all the players run out from the opposing tunnel, they're just and it gets louder. I mean, right. I personally am not against it. Me personally, trying to figure this out and understand more about it before I make a definitive opinion about it. But right now, I just cannot see why I should be opposed to it. If it's supposed to be screaming as a powerful thing for the organization rather than white genocide, which that's a whole nother. Oh, it's really the same thing.
Yeah, if you say that's genocide to some people, they act like it never happened. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I've seen that firsthand. They pretend that never happened.
That's wrong. I'll say that is wrong to pretend white genocide.
All right, but since we have Steven, and he said he has adopted some of the Tampa teams, let me ask you this, Steven. What do you got to say for the Rays management and ownership groups? You've been pretty vocal on the show that they shouldn't move the team from Tampa, they should move it to Tampa, or like keep it in St. Pete and not move it to Montreal, or Stu should just sell the team. Like, what do you got for that whole situation?
I hate the idea of splitting with Montreal.
It's not even practical.
It's not practical
for the players or the fans.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, I've been to the Trop. I mean, this may be an unpopular opinion. I don't think the Trop's that bad, but
I personally don't think so. It's kind of dinky compared to other stadiums, but it's not that bad as people.
I think it is. It's unfortunate that we live in Florida, and it's not you don't have the ability to convert it to an outdoor stadium with like a retractable roof or whatever, because you do get really nice days in Florida, even when I know we get a lot of rain and thunderstorms too, but you get a lot of nice sunny days, and baseball really does feel like it's a sport that needs to be played outside. But I mean, who's going to foot the bill? You know what I mean? and that's always the question that you have to settle. I don't like the location. I think what they've done in downtown St. Pete is nice. They built kind of a nice little community around there, but if you're on the Tampa side, it's not an attractive
No one
location
wants
for
to
you
make
to
that
go
drive.
there. Maybe some people would make the argument that people in Pinellas would say the same thing. But I don't know. To me, you move it to Hillsborough. Maybe you get some people coming from as far as Orlando or Lakeland. You know what I mean? Like it's a little bit more central.
Everyone has moved the team to Ybor and built the outdoor retractable roof stadium there. That's what everyone's saying. People are looking forward to it.
I think we just lost him.
Yeah, we just
Internet probably dropped.
Internet probably
He'll be back probably.
Peeps posted, but yeah. All right. Actually, Ace, we gotta pick it up a little bit. All right. I know we got.
We're going
also,
slow.
We have been.
We have an extended episode.
Extended episode. So, but at the same time, I do want to get on and move on for NBA news before we could talk a little bit more about football.
Yeah.
Right, so.
All right. You want to talk about this Celtics issue?
While we wait for Steven to come back. Yeah. Let's talk about it.
All right. So Marcus mentioned that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum because he said they like. He was saying how. You back?
I'm back.
All right. So we were gonna start talking about the Marcus Smart comments about Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, where he said that.
We decided to move on to NBA. If that's cool with you,
unless you got something to say about the Rays before we get going.
No.
Yeah. So
we all
Marcus Smart
agreed that the Rays should be moved to Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
No split season. Just move.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. So Marcus Smart was saying how he didn't want to have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum in they don't want to pass the ball, and opposing defenses know this, and they just solely focus on those two because they're not fault to anybody else. Period. So that was bringing up some conversation because the Celtics are 2-5, sitting number 12 in the conference, and they're saying how they should probably go after like a John Wall type of player, but I don't see how they can fit that salary unless they like John Wall gets a buyout to go over there because that's never going to happen. Like in a trade, I don't see where they can get the money to do it.
Rockets are too cheap to do a buyout with John Wall. Florida is too cheap to do that.
Well, yeah. What do you guys think about the Celtics and their whole thing with Marcus Smart saying Jaylen Brown and Jason doesn't want to pass the ball?
I think it's a coaching issue.
Well, it is a new head coach, like a first-year head coach, but I don't think that's so much coaching as it is the two players, like their mentality. I mean, Jason Tatum keeps trying to think he's Kobe, so yeah, I wonder how much does that play into like him trying to be the hero to win them a game.
I mean, he did kind of cut out of that a little bit last season. It's interesting to hear that he's going back to that.
I could tell Steven doesn't care too much about the Celtics. He got nothing on him.
I just don't follow the NBA during the regular season.
I only follow the Magic, and I gotta tell you, I was mad today because the Magic, at this point, and what their like roster is set up right now, you don't expect to win a whole lot of games. And when they do win games in like a fashion like how they did last night with the performances they had from Franz Wagner and Cole Anthony, and to the fact not a single like ESPN or like Fox or any of them talked about the game, it's kind of like you kind of feel kind of disrespected almost because Cole Anthony, he dropped 31, Franz Wagner dropped 28, and they kind of blew out Minnesota, who's actually been playing pretty decent this season. And like Cole Anthony, he's been on a hot streak kind of to start the season. He's averaging 19, 8, and 6, which is kind of a big jump. So I was like, the fact no one's talking about them is kind of messed up in my opinion. I don't know if you guys thought anything about that either. Somebody fell asleep.
No, he's just playing with me. Anyways, I do want to bring up this that Magic. The Orlando Magic, even though it's a brand new team and a brand new coach, they're notorious for starting out hot and fizzle out. So
no, they're not starting out hot. They're 2-5. They're not. They're not. They're 2-6. They're not starting off hot. It's just the performances from a young team like them. They have the youngest roster in the NBA. So the fact that they have like some bright spots in
City Thunder.
They're either the youngest or the second youngest. It's one of the two. These Thunder still have like Mike Muscala on the roster. That's why I don't think they have like the oldest.
The youngest team. I still believe the OKC Thunder still has the youngest roster in the NBA. I still believe. But Orlando Magic might be there.
Why is it the Magic are constantly just rebuilding for the last several years? What is the reason for
You
that?
really want me to get into that? The
I mean-
Hennigan era is the reason why. They
Hennigan era.
had a core. They traded away Tobias Harris for Ursan Ilva and like a bag. It's essentially a bag of chips. Just traded away Tobias Harris for. They brought in Fournier, and then they had Victor Oladipo, and they drafted Domantas Sabonis. And guess what they did with 2 future All-Stars? They traded Serge Ibaka for half a season, and that like shot the rebuild. And then when John Hammond and gosh, now I'm forgetting his name, Jeff Weltman took over the team, they had that in Clifford. They made the playoffs 2 years, but then you could realize their cap was the 8 or 7 seed with that roster. That's why they just kind of blew it up last year at the deadline. But the Vucevic trade is looking pretty good right now. Wagner starting off his career.
It looked really bad at last season towards the end, but now it looks better.
The trade?
The Fournier trade, yeah.
The Fournier trade is nothing. They just have a $17 million trade exception essentially from that trade for Fournier.
Yeah, Fournier now is now on the Knicks. And he looks good now, but
Knicks
we
fell
don't know
for
when he's
that.
going to start selling yet. We'll see when he starts selling.
He'll go down. We got our jokes for Fournier. Almost had the joke come out, but I ain't gonna say that. All right, but anyway, so
let's talk about Zion. So I know how much factor is
Zion might not even play 20 games.
With Zion's health issue, he might have to get a dietitian.
He needs that Nutrisystem diet.
Steven, what you think about
Zion?
So
I saw like a small headline about it. So I understand there's concerns about his weight.
No, they think he's over 300 right now.
Wow.
He's over 300.
What did he come into the league at?
270.
Wow. Okay.
This is like normal.
Yeah, and the injuries that he's had in the NBA are a result of the overweight because it's knee injuries and foot injuries. And both of those, and if you see how he's running, the legs are kind of like caving in on the weight when he's trying to run. He's kind of like a waddle. And you're like, how is he going to last with the way how he plays and his legs going to hold up?
Hey, look on the bright side. At least the Pelicans did not pick up John Moran and wasted his career. At least the Memphis Grizzlies are looking good. And John Moran is in the MVP conversation as far as I'm concerned right now, to be honest. He's definitely in there.
Okay, stand corrected. Oklahoma City have the youngest team. Memphis is second. Orlando's third. And the fact that Memphis is going to be in the thicket of West playoffs is saying how much they did on their rebuild. I mean, the Thunder on the draft for the next 7 years, so they'll be fine.
The Thunder are going to keep tanking for how many years until they use up all those picks?
I mean, Giddey's not looking that bad so far, and Steven's Florida boy Trey Mann has a decent start, I guess, say the least.
Let me once upon a time about Trey Mann when he played Kevin Knox in high school.
And what Kevin Knox is doing right now?
Bench.
Exactly.
Trey Mann is going to be a bench player too.
Trey Mann at least is getting minutes.
Yeah, for now, because he's a rookie.
I mean, the Knicks need to trade Kevin.
Yeah, Knicks don't know how to use Kevin. That's another thing.
I'll take him for a first-round pick and Kevin Knox for Terrence Ross.
No, keep Terrence Ross. You need that veteran.
Well, I mean, Thibodeau might actually play a veteran than he would a young player. That's just how Tibbs works.
Terrence Ross would get a crap load of minutes in New York.
All right. So, Steven, do you at least pay attention to the Lakers? Because Flash has his whole weekly segment, I guess you want to say, on the Lakers for Russ.
It's very critical right now with how banked up the Lakers are. I mean, we're still pretending. Still do not have Trevor Ariza. We still don't have a few other guys as well. I just can't name them on top of my head. But Trevor Ariza.
Flash is such a bandwagoner. It's so funny.
Hush. No, I just don't remember.
He's a Russ bandwagoner.
Hush.
He's a Russ bandwagoner.
You hush.
Anywho, all right, continue, Flash. Sorry for the trolling. That's good.
Yes,
Oh.
Melo has to stay consistent. Even what?
Nothing.
Yeah.
You're just showing up like a go.
All right. So I do think Melo has to stay consistent as a team trying to figure its way through these injuries they still have. DeAndre Jordan is so far the fit has not been looking very well right now, but every other piece on the Lakers are slowly coming together. I mean, as we know, they only have beaten easy teams so far, but it's going to take some time, especially that this is essentially a brand new roster. So we'll just give them time and see. Russell Westbrook's last couple games, they've been pretty well, with the exception of that OKC game, and that's not even considered a terrible game. Besides,
I mean, he is
turnovers.
averaging 18, 9, and 9.
It's something. I mean, I'm not even mad at that, to be honest. I mean, that's what I would
No, I'm talking
expect
about
when you're.
Melo's averaging like 17.
Yeah, you're talking 1899 is Westbrook, right?
Yeah, Melo's 17.
Yeah, I mean, I would not even be mad if you're on a team with Anthony Davis and LeBron James, especially LeBron James. I do think his scoring averages will go up a little bit more though, and I do think same for the whole Lakers team.
What do you got, Steven? Anything? Or are you just trying to make it through the NBA not knowing anything about it?
I'm taking it all in because I am so ignorant on what's going on in the NBA right now. I know the
NHL and
Heat look
NBA, you
like they
don't pay
got
attention
to
until the playoffs. You wait till
yeah,
playoffs to care.
not when football's still on,
Well,
right? So right now it's football and
remember
playoff
this.
baseball.
All right, let me make this quick. So the Lakers are still out with THT. They're still without Wayne Ellington, which that could be a big piece for them.
Wayne
All right.
Ellington? Did you?
Wayne Ellington
Right
is a solid bench player, I think.
Man, he's starting to sound like Skip Bayless. But I'm not Skip.
Like Wayne Ellington was a solid bench player in Miami, so that's why I feel pretty well.
What year was that? Like what? Back when D Wade was still aware?
Miami? It was that long? 2017?
Yeah,
2016? Sheesh.
Yeah.
It's the Lakers, bro.
All right.
They'll figure it out. If not, then Frank Vogel goes bye-bye. It's still a brand new team. I'm not giving him pressure yet.
I see. I mean, let me ask you this, Flash. I know you were kind of mad when the Wizards traded Westbrook, right, to the Lakers. But with that cap space, they brought in Dinwiddie, Montrezl Kuzma, KCP, and they were able to re-sign they have Thomas Bryant still, right? They're sitting number 1 right now, or top 4.
Let's go.
That's a good update.
All right.
Well, as long as it's not 28-3, I think, or 3-1, then the Braves are fine.
I mean, right
Just
now
don't
with
the
the Wizards,
like
they look like in a great spot. I do think with the hiring of, man, my memory's doing me bad today.
They got, I think it was Wes Unseld.
Yeah, Wes Unseld. When they hired Wes Unseld, it looked like he changed the whole culture with it. The Wizards are not making as careless mistakes as they were when they had Scott Brooks as their head coach. I do think that does have a major factor. I was just kind of mad because I did want to see how Russell Westbrook does with Bradley Beal under Wes Unseld. I really had wanted to see him play under that guy over Frank Vogel. But, I mean, everyone knows Westbrook still has a better chance of winning a ring with Los Angeles than with Washington. So, what am I going to say?
Interesting.
But I would say this. With the way how the Nets are looking right now, maybe that
the Nets are
Washington
begging
team
Kyrie Irving to get vaccinated.
Yeah, I mean, with the way how the Nets are looking right now, I mean, maybe if Westbrook did stay in up in the East, maybe they did have a shot. Who never knows?
Well, part of the problem with Harden and Damian Lillard, among others, is shooting and offense overall.
James Harden is
that's
getting
what I'm talking
exposed
about
for
next.
not having free throws. I'll get into that a little bit.
Can I continue, please?
Go.
I know. I feel like no, I'm talking about the shooting and offense for the league overall is kind of down for the year. That's what they're reporting now. And the NBA, they're trying to decentivize or whatever it's called, de-incentivize or whatever it is called, for the take fouls. When they're trying to take a foul on a fast break, they're trying to get rid of those fouls too, to help boost back the offense, because it's kind of been pretty stagnant since they got the foul rule change. And also, they changed the basketball too. Remember, it's now Wilson instead of Spalding.
I do not think the difference between Wilson and Spalding is not that big of a deal unless you're Russell.
What when you've been
Westbrook.
shooting with like one ball all your career, and then you have to switch to another one.
Well, I mean, unless you're Russell Westbrook, who literally says Spalding was his only friend, I don't think it makes that much of a difference.
All right. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out why. Like Damian Lillard's
I
averaging 18 a game right now.
I think Damian
Harden's
Lillard
averaging like barely 20.
I mean, look at this. Damian Lillard is shooting worse from three than Russell Westbrook.
That's what I'm saying. Like Damian Lillard has never done that in his career.
I do not think it's a ball issue. I just think Damian Lillard is cold right now. He's just ice cold. He'll shoot out of it eventually. James Harden, on the other hand, he's just not getting the ref bait fouls as what he once did. And James Harden's numbers did look super well when we see him with the Rockets and early few year days with the Nets. I mean, because the referees would just give him fouls left and right. Now it's just they took away the fouls, so now his true numbers are being shown of when James Harden doesn't look good. All right.
Let's close out with the USF thing before we wrap this up.
Yeah, let's do a quick rundown of college football quickly. All right, so it's USF.
I mean, what college football we have left to talk about? Just the USF issue.
All right. So, as the USF National Alumni President of the University of South Florida, I'm sorry, I have to laugh for a bit. That loss this past weekend was pathetic. I mean, we lost to Eastern Carolina, right? We're like, of all teams, Eastern Carolina. That's like one of the worst teams in the American Conference.
I mean, that's an East Carolina fan, so somewhere like that way. Yeah,
That's
right there.
PD Pirate. PD Pirate.
I'm sorry, Steven, but
I always think it's funny. I know
ECU is still one of the worst teams in the AAC, so I kind of have to get upset at USF for that.
I mean, but
they've been better.
Let the man talk, Flash.
They had Chris Johnson. They got history. I'll say this: Greenville, North Carolina is a beautiful town. I always do think it's funny though. Whenever I know the game was in Greenville last week, but it's funny to me that when ECU comes to play USF, they're playing in a stadium that has a pirate ship, but it's an away game for them. That's always kind of been funny to me.
Every USF game now is an away game with how opposing fans fill up or how empty it is. So.
With Houston and Cincinnati coming into town, it's going to be rough sledding for the USF.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough 2 weeks.
It's going to look like how it was early season. USF may be competitive against Houston, but Cincinnati, they're going to just get walked out.
That game will be over in the first quarter, probably.
North Carolina State game. I mean, Coach Jeff Scott needs as I said, he needs to tighten it up.
I was calling Charlie Strong this time. Last week he did.
Yeah.
Speaking of Charlie Strong, you know he got in trouble with the NCAA and the football program and the women's basketball team both got put on probation for 3 years for some kind of
I mean, at least the women's basketball team was actually good with USF. Charlie Strong
while they were cheating
was a dud.
The men's football trash while they were cheating.
They could not win for crap with Charlie Strong regardless. So I don't feel sorry for them at all.
Yep. I mean, that's gonna do it for us tonight. And for a month, we should be back December. I think exactly. December 7th is going to be our aim for our return date, or November 30th. Which day you want to come back, Flash? While we wrap this up.
Let's do the second, all right? Because that's when football gets into its peak.
The 7th.
Yeah, or if you want, we can start back Thanksgiving. Let's start back Thanksgiving. That's like 3 weeks from now.
All right, so the 23rd?
The 23rd.
So we wrap this up so we let the people know when we're coming back.
For Rival Week for college football. Thanksgiving week special, college football extended episode where we get to talk about rankings and rivalries that are at stake. You don't want to miss that one.
And thank you, Steven, for joining us tonight and being our first guest on the show. Glad to have you back anytime.
We might have to bring back Steven for FSU Florida thoughts as well.
That's an idea. If you want to come back, the door is always open,
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank
you guys. We'll make it work.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
I hope you feel better with you having a rant over UF.
Yes,
Snoopy?
the FAMU Southern Breakdown is going to be at 6, and Running Guns tomorrow at 8. Me and JP will be on then. So you could catch us then every Wednesday still. We'll still be on for, I think, another 3 weeks. So actually, by the time we come back, Running Gun will be on their season finale. So kind of works out, actually.
Yeah. So let's be back for Rival Week. And we'll
Yep. Be a friend, tell a friend.
We could get anything straightened out. Maybe we could get another guest. I still wish we could get Riddell Anthony on the show, or maybe Jaquez Green. I might have to do something about that. But we'll see. We could probably get some Gators legend in for Steven.
Yeah. Like, share, subscribe, be a friend. And you know where to find us. Make sure you retweet, spread the love, help grow the channel. Snoopy, one day we'll get you to meet Ugga, I promise.
Go dogs, go dogs, go dogs. You gonna Snoopy? I think you and Ugga will be best friends. Snoopy's also a part.
That's why Snoopy tries to tackle Steven.
When's Snoopy's birthday? I'm gonna get Snoopy a little gator costume. little sweatshirt.
I don't know.
All right.
I mean, isn't your dog's birthday the same time too?
Yeah, they're siblings. Yeah.
Yeah. Pepsi's
all right then.
Time, so.
Well, people in America, thank you for our first season of the Last Gift podcast. It was a lot of fun. 14 weeks are done.
Hopefully, we can make the second season much better.
Oh, we're gonna have some upgrades. Don't worry, we're gonna have some upgrades for you, America. We're gonna be ready to rock and roll. November 23rd, coming back, and we're coming back with a bang. See you then. Peace out.
See you then.